So in this session, we are going to talk about types of screenplays, and this is going to be recurring. So we are going to look at different types of screenplays. Something is which is plot based, something which is character based, something which is idea or event based. So in this session, we are going to look at plot based structure of screenplays and how plot plays a significant role in helping us develop screenplays. What is a plot? A plot refers to the main events in a story composed as a connected sequence of events. So when there are different kind of events that happen inside your story, it must follow some kind of a sequencing. And plot primarily refers to the major events that connects those sequence of events. Plot can be made up of several seemingly unconnected threads. Okay, they need not be interconnected to begin with, but as long as they're presented in a way that communicates to the viewer that these actions and events are connected in some way, you may refer to that chain of events as a plot. So it's always cause based. Okay, so it follows a track where seemingly unconnected events will come together. It's written in such a way that they will come together to give you ultimately, as a reader or as a viewer, or if you are reading the script or if you're watching the film later on, then it must communicate that the actions and events that you have integrated as a screenwriter into that script is draw some sort of a logical connection, and those chain of events, those the pattern of sequencing can be called as a plot. Okay, so what makes a good plot? First thing is it must explain the chain of events in the story, like I told you. Okay, from stage A to stage C, if um, the story is following a track, it must hold on to those threads, and it must eventually have a chain of events linked to represent the story. Second is a good plot always shows a causal relationship between each event. What is a causal relationship? A causal relationship is something that is cause-based. Things happen, that's why something is going to happen. So if you're writing about one event, then event would be dependent on the kind of choices that the characters are going to make, and if they're going to make certain kind of choices, then they are going to have some sort of consequences eventually in the narrative. And this is something that is heavily drawn from life. It also happens in our life. A lot of things, when you look back or when you reflect upon, are always cause based. You take a decision to study mass communication in St. Mary's College, then it would have an impact, or it would have some sort of an effect uh, eventually in the future. So that decision that you took or somebody took on your behalf, it is going to have some sort of an implication. So this implicatory part or implicatory aspect is something that helps us build around a good plot. So like life events, similarly story events follow a causal track of relationship. Third point is a good plot connects the actions and events in a logical manner. There is some sort of a logical association or the other that links the actions and events that you write about in your screenplay. Plot arises out of characters in a place doing something, um, and that creates a plot. Okay, so the characters in your screenplay are going to do something, and they are doing something, or their decision to do something would have eventually have some sort of an impact in the story, to take the story into a mode of narrative progression, and that is something that develops the plot or helps create the plot. The characters and the plots are intrinsically linked. Okay, so they go almost hand in glove. Unless the characters take some decision and engage in some kind of an action, plots cannot be built. So for a screenplay to be extremely plot based, the characters also have a larger significance, or they need to help in the development of the plot. If we separate them when we analyze or in the rewrite to make our stories better, it is greatly useful in the story edit. So we do that when we enter into the pattern of analysis of a screenplay or analysis of a film. But when you are writing, you must keep in mind while developing a plot that what sort of role the characters are going to play, what kind of decisions they're going to take, and eventually they will have a larger impact in the development of the plot. What's exciting or interesting happening in your story now may or may not happen in your story later. Okay, because that's why we call the story as a narrative progression, because it follows a movement, it follows the character's development from one stage to another, and this sort of a pattern in terms of exposing the audiences or exposing the readers to the kind of actions and events would also go through the crest and troughs. It's not going to follow a linear track. So what's going to happen later in your story need to be integrated somewhere in your plot. So you need to leave the audiences or the readers with enough nuggets of information that this is going to have some sort of um, impact later in your story. You need to set it up so that there is a payoff later. Okay, so that is why exposition and setting up are important, so that you are telling the audience, or you are offering the audience some sort of a material to chew on. What drives the story forward and holds attention of the viewer with reference to the narrative progression. So audiences and viewers subconsciously develop that sort of a causal understanding that, okay, if this has happened, then some sort of uh, a consequence based decision making will happen. For example, you in your story you write that a 6 years old boy or a girl witnesses his parents being killed. Okay, so when they see that, it would have some sort of an impact or influence on them when they see that. And by showing or by writing that sort of an event on action which is untoward for a 6-year-old, it's not a regular sequence of event that they are to lose their parents to something like homicide, then maybe later on they will grow up, become revengeful, and how they're going to plan their revenge is something which has some sort of a preceding setting up in the context of the murder that takes place. So that's how you're going to develop writing. So when you write your screenplay from a character-driven perspective, you tentatively stitch scenes together to form a sort of like a structure, and it might be a fragile structure. When you are moving from a character's point of view, um, you are trying to develop the scenes, and that might hold or might not hold together if the characters lose motivation, or if the characters are given too much of precedence over how the story is going to progress. But when you start doing the second draft, okay, there are those questions about the early landing of characters or their motivations that lead them to the second act, which may help you work around stronger plot writing. So you start with a rough broad outline of a story, move into the screenplay part, and then write your first draft. So in your first draft, there is a possibility that you might have introduced characters or engaged with characters which are um, which uh, which are introduced really early into the story. They might be required to do larger things, more important things later in your screenplay. So those sort of decision making, or the kind of decisions your characters are going to take in your story, that would lead them to a different kind of events, that would lead them to different kind of actions. Those things would always come in the second act. Sorry, in the second draft, when you are developing your screenplay, and that makes the plot writing extremely stronger. Second draft, third draft, fourth draft. There are so many screenplay writers who over a period of time develop the drafts. They are not satisfied with the first draft or the second draft, and they continue to improvise on characters, they continue to improvise on what is the sequence of events in the story. That's what plot structure loosely translated. Okay, something that I have been reiterating. Um, Mind that a plot always follow the structure of sequencing of events in the story. What happens and when does it happen? This is something that you need to keep in mind while writing. If you have a car chase in your script, when does it happen? Do you begin with the chase, or is it going to come sometime in the midpoint? Is it going to happen during the climax of the story? The structural tools to maximize the emotional experience for the audience. Structural tools are there to help the audience gather their emotional experiences. This has happened, so they are constantly anticipating what's going to happen next. So it's that anticipation of conflict um, that is extremely necessary for the audience or for the readers to stay hooked to your screenplay or to stay hooked to the film that they are seeing. Emotions grow out of conflict, and the audiences should start thinking or anticipating what to happen next, what is going to happen next prior to the landing of that emotional experience. So it's not actually the cathartic effect um, as a result which matters. It's something that is that precedes the landing of that emotional experience. So when it happens. It's things that happen that is happening before the uh, you know the major breakdown or the major resolution is something that holds the attention of the audience. Hence, the build-up is required. So you have to take the story from stage 1 to stage 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6, or howsoever you want to structure or divide your story. It's how you're building up is extremely essential. Till your audience something some other characters in your story doesn't know about. That's the superior position. Okay, this is extremely crucial when you are doing playwriting, when you are doing cinema writing, even when you are developing literary materials like short stories or novels or novellas, that you need to kind of build some sort of a subconscious internal conflict between the characters, the things that one character knows another doesn't know, whereas the readers can anticipate. So always allow the readers to be in that superior position of anticipation, that they know that the other characters doesn't know. So when they come to know about it, then what is going to the effect or the impact when the audience start anticipating about the characters reactions or response to that situation, he or she is unaware about and discovers what will happen in the story. A classic example of that would be a good suspense thriller like those in the Hitchcock films. Because the audiences know and the characters do not, it leads to good moments of anticipation from the audience's side. So they are always, in a rather privileged position of knowing things, and they also are likely to develop some sort of empathy or some sort of a rational understanding towards the characters. For example, the wife doesn't know that the husband is having an affair, but the audiences know that. So they are constantly thinking about the wife, what is going to be the wife's reaction when she discovers that the husband is having an affair, that the relationship is at stake. So those sort of things help you in binding the plot together. Then ticking clock is another highly effective structural device which puts the protagonist in a position to work against the time to win the situation, and something that is extremely common. You would come across that in so many action films, so many um, dramas, especially relationship dramas. You see that the hero is rushing to stop the bad guy before he or she does something horrible. They were greatly in action films and thrillers. You see that all the time in romantic comedies and dramas. The race to the wedding would be a few scenes in the third act before the climax. You I mean, as I speak, you can start thinking or trying to, memorize what sort of films you would have seen where the ticking clock structure as a plot tool is used. The hero is rushing to reach the venue to reach his or her love interest. You would see that in many films where rushing to the venue before the love interest goes away. This works as a classic structural device. The ticking clock speeds up the momentum, accelerates the pace, and raising the levels of conflict, and puts more obstacle to overcome the protagonist for the protagonist, and that makes the structure more effective. The audiences should always be at the edge of the seat. When you are doing a classic thriller, or when you're doing a classic action film, it's not just the fight sequences or the high chase action events which are going to land the audiences in a rather emotional situation, but these kind of things that you try to stretch the protagonist struggles, you try to stretch and simultaneously you are stretching the audience's anticipations how this is going to be finally. Elicit emotions for the audiences, viewers. If you are a storyteller, your primary goal is to create emotions. Okay, remember this is thumb rule of screenwriting. You must, as a screenwriter or as a storyteller, deal with emotions. If you can't deal with emotions, if you cannot express emotions um, in your writing, then you should try something else. Not try to write stories, because it's very natural for a screenwriter or a story writer to work around with emotions. Now, when I say emotions, I'm not referring to um, your emotions. Understand, when you are developing a screenplay, um, you that it's likely that you are going to draw from your own life. You are going to draw from people whom you know. Know that it cannot be uh, it cannot be written from a point of view or a perspective where there is lack of emotions. And understand that lack of emotion, representation of lack of emotion, is also an emotion that you need to put together. So you need to be extremely smart that how you are going to do so. Otherwise, you neither do justice with the characters nor help develop a strong plot. Screenplay structure works are a foundation to create that emotional experience for the audience. Okay, that's why the movement happens. The movements from tragedy to comedy, the from extremely good moments to extremely pathetic moments. So when these kind of movements happen in our life, and we are trying to reflect upon life in our stories, in our narratives, in our screenplays, it is essential that you offer that emotional experiences to the audiences or the readers. The 6 stages of structure will take the protagonist and the audience's journey from beginning to the end of the story. And we are going to look at these stages and how they integrate the plot or how they help build the plot. So the first one is called setup. Okay. So what is a setup? Setup is where you introduce your hero, build an emotional connection with him or her as they live their daily lives. So pretty much like our lives. Try and see if there are cameras around you or trying to follow you, and as you routinely live. And then something new happens, an opportunity is created which takes the story to the second stage. So in your setup, that's why let's say if it is your story in the college, we saw the college, we saw you um, doing your daily chores in the college, attending classes, going to the canteen, going to the library, participating in different activities, talking to friends, going out of the college to hang out with your friends in cafes. Um, all those kind of things, they are integral part of your daily lives. And then from there, things will happen. If it is a romantic story, then what would happen? You would be introduced to somebody whom eventually you are going to take a liking for, physically, emotionally, whatever. So if that newness, that novelty is something that creates that opportunity to take the story to the next level. So this, in stage one, you're introducing the characters, that is called setting up. Second is called a new situation, which is a stage two. In stage two, what happens? The hero is presented with some events that takes him or her somewhere to a new situation, geographically or a new circumstance. Okay, you complete your degree, you go abroad to study. That's a new situation. Okay, you are not somebody who is um, familiar with the geography, familiar with the people, familiar with the culture, familiar with how um, your life is going to be in this new place. So this sort of a newness, new situation comes at the end of act stage one. At the end of act one, this new situation is going to lead the hero to a specific goal. He or she is going to declare and begin pursuing a specific finish line they want to reach by the end of the story. So in this phase of new situation, they are going to find the calling of their life, or they're going to find something specific that they want to achieve. And this can happen in any situation. Okay, while being in St. Mary's, you discovered something, you discovered painting, or you discovered photography, or you fell in love with somebody who is not from this place, and you're going to chase him or her all the way to a foreign land. Those kind of things happen. You see that. So, and that is going to be the goal of their life in that story. I'm not saying it would happen in life because life is life goes beyond a screenplay, but within that screenplay, till that sort of a specific, you know, goal or ambition is achieved, the story must continue. So this could be defined as an auto motivation, as it is outwardly visible and it's their desire. Okay, so you are writing the characters motivation to progress. You're offering the audiences or the readers something specific that they're going to chase or pursue, and something which is visible. So you write accordingly that what this new situation is going to be. Understand this new situation is again cause-based. This new situation is again event and action-based. That they are going to decide something. They are going to travel. They are going to take a decision. They are going to start painting. They are going to start photography. They are going to start writing poems. Whatever they do. So that specific goal of chasing and finding is crucial. Stage 3 is called the stage of progress. They formulate a plan and the plan seems to work and the obstacles start to getting bigger and bigger until finally at the midpoint of that story, they are going to make a bigger commitment to that goal, which leads them to a point which could be defined as a point of no return. Something that happens in all our lives, that we commit to something. I mean, commit to anything for that matter, which becomes your life's goal. And this, all of us try to make plans, and your characters are also going to make plans, and you have to make those plans work, you know, at that stage. In stage 3, when you are developing the narrative, you are going to offer few events and actions which would help audience reflect upon the idea that the plan that the protagonist has made seems to be working. And then simultaneously you have to introduce the obstacles. Simultaneously you have to offer the hurdles that are going to be bigger till it reaches the midpoint of the story, where, you know, the protagonists are going to collide or confront and try to decide that this is what it is. I am going to make sure that this goal, this ambition is fulfilled. So there is no returning back. There is no walking away from that position. They cannot back out now, and they will do whatever they possibly could to achieve that goal. This leads them to the next stage. Next stage is called complications and higher stakes. What it does, it takes the stage to a position where the conflicts are going to become more and more important to them. They being in that stage itself is extremely crucial for them, and that becomes more harder than before to achieve. Remember, the bigger your ambition is, the bigger is going to be the conflict and the obstacles, and that's life and screenplay draws, or stories and narratives draw from human life itself. The antagonist will discover that the protagonist is after him or her, and the outside world is going to start losing him, and it's going to get tougher and tougher to achieve the goal, until at the end of Act 2, the hero is going to suffer or encounter a major setback. So see how from setting up we reach this stage of complications, and higher things are going to be at stake. Sometimes it's your life which is at stake. Sometimes it's your time which is at stake. Sometimes you stake your career to take a decision which where you might suffer a setback, and something that is major, something that might not allow you in real life to come back. But in your story, you are doing all this so that the conflicts also gets layered, and your ambition, the protagonist ambition, also becomes more determined. Stage, something is going to happen that destroys seemingly any hope of achieving the goal. So unless you do that, there's a possibility that your characters is not layered enough, or you are not giving your character enough punch. Okay, one example that comes to my mind as I speak or discuss about this thing is, you can take it from Rocky, for that matter, those who have seen Rocky. This sort of a complication where he would suffer injuries, and there's a possibility that he might not come back to the ring again because he has suffered. And you would see that in a lot of sport films, injuries where somebody's spine is broken, an accident that happens. That is a major setback in your life for an athlete. If that person loses that kind of a momentum because of the injury, for them to return back to the field, it's something that we tend to celebrate, that this is the grit and the determination of your protagonist. So the higher things are at stake, the more stronger is the determination. So two possibilities could emerge from this kind of situation, because worst thing has already happened. The hero is going to give up and would retreat in the earlier life here she was living, but with dissatisfaction, and that would give it uh, put them in a position where they would give it a shot, which is do or die. Okay, one last shot, and we'll see whether this happens or not. Kind of one last push with all the courage and energy they have, that would lead them to the next stage. Okay, it happens, right, with all of us, and you would see that in stage 4 when you're developing uh, complications in the plot and putting higher things, higher decisions at stake. So that defines what your character is built on. Stage 5 is called climax. This is where everything should get resolved. The protagonist and the antagonist would meet for the final time, and the last clash, we know the situation to achieve the goal, is something that you notice, um, that they are going to meet each other one last time, and they're going to fight to win over the situation and to achieve the goal. Remember, the protagonist's goal is extremely dear to him or her, and they're going to give all their might and energy to push it to win over the situation, to win over the antagonist. Okay, that would lead them to stage 6, that is the aftermath. We need to know what happens afterwards when the protagonist finally completes his journey. Um, this journey, something that we have been watching or reading about so far, from setting up to the stage of aftermath. It's like a before and after picture, from starting out with difficulties to reaching to the stage of success to accomplish this goal, and then to see how their life has been transformed in the course of the journey. And it's something that you would see most of the times um, with protagonist movement through the narrative, and how they're going to understand, utilize this sort of a position of success or state of success, because they've accomplished their goal, they have become successful. Now, when they look back at that transformation journey, right from when they were introduced to that, um, that character whom they were after, or that ambition or that goal, or whatever they want to chase, from that to move through that different stages, um, gives us an idea about plot-based structure, and how this kind of complications in the building of these kind of complications, how they're going to help us build a narrative. So that's more or less about plot-based screenplays, and how plot is used as a significant literary device or a tool to talk about or to engage in screenplay development or writing. So I'll stop here, and then we can proceed to questions if you have any.